What is up, people? Van from the VaniverseGaming channel here with another video. And today's video is going to be on a game called Stoneshard, which is currently in early access on Steam. You can pick it up for 10 bucks. I would highly recommend it because it's a super great game. Now, the point of this video is to give new players a little bit of guidance on how to play the game. There is a tutorial and a prologue which we're going to play through, but it doesn't go into enough detail where this game can be extremely frustrating. I know it looks easy and simplistic at the surface, but when you actually start playing the game, you realize it's actually quite complex and very difficult. So before you go and you buy the game, I would highly suggest you watch this video in its entirety. Now, also, I'm going to make a second video on the prologue, which is how to beat the last boss. Because a lot of people, when they play this game, they struggle to even get past him to get to the actual game itself because he is so difficult. So if you're interested in that video, just make sure you sub to the channel, click on the little icon in the bottom right, and then click on the little dingy bell. And then that way you'll know when I post that video. It should come out rather soon. So let's get started. I'm going to play through the actual dialogue for players who have never seen this before. And then as we play through the prologue, I'll give you my tips and tricks. So here we go.
Where am I?
You are awake. Just in time for the ritual. We'll have a use for you so very soon. Don't try anything funny or you'll end up like one of your friends. Perhaps I should check on him again. All that fresh blood, that must have drained by now.
Curses. I need to get out of here before this bastard returns. Looks like my shackles are rusted to the core.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to open our inventory. And you can see, because it's a tutorial, they're going to try to teach you a couple things. I'm going to give you some additional tips as we go through this starting area. So you can right-click remove, you can drag remove, or look at this, boom, just drop it out here, okay? Then we're going to examine the cell. We'll come over, we'll click this guy.
Your bad feeling was spot on. They didn't search him. Bad move. No offense, buddy. But you won't need all these things anymore.
Alright, so it's going to say examine, so we can left click or we can even right click and say open. And then we can move everything at once. We can hit this, or we can hit the space bar, or we can manually move them, or we can right click and move them. So what we're going to do is space bar, it's just automatically going to move them all. Now here are some lockpicks. One thing to note about these is these little white dots are basically the uses you have before they're gone. They only use up one of these uses if it breaks, if you fail. So you can fail 3 times. But if you're always successful, then these will never break and you can keep them for as long as you just don't break them. All right, so these are flashing. We have drinking and eating. So we're going to drink, we're going to eat, and now we're good there. So now we need to escape from the cell. That's where these lockpicks are going to come in. So if I left click this, it's going to say locked. So if I right click and say pick, it's opened. So I can keep doing that until one of these things break.
I hope I'm not alone, survivor. Got to arm myself.
Okay, so right here is the weapon. This is going to be in the tutorial every time. We pick it up, drag it up here, and now you can start banging on stuff. Another thing you want to do is you want to hold down your Alt button, and that's going to show you everything on the map that's lootable. This is really good so you don't miss things. We don't need that. Okay, so we got a ring.
The cages are unlocked, and blood trails are fresh. Looks like everyone was taken somewhere. Seems like I was the only one to be...
Alright, so come down here, nothing. We'll hit these barrels. Hold down Alt, nothing. Check this corpse. So I'll tell you, everything you get in this prologue is going to disappear. So don't worry about looting everything and keeping everything in your inventory, because you're going to lose it all after the prologue. We just want to make sure we check everything, because we need to have a good setup in order to beat the last guy. So this is why this is turn-based. Every time I click, he's going to move 1 space. So everyone gets a turn. And then if I don't want to move, I can hit spacebar. And it's going to pause my turn, and now we're going to attack him. Done. So he drops a shiv. We're going to pick the shiv up because it's actually better than what we're using right now. So we're going to replace the iron bar and we're going to drop the shiv. Come here. So you, just like in other games, you can actually attack this instead of picking it. But notice that your weapons have a durability, and so you don't want to attack it if you don't have to. But as the game progresses, when you get further on in the game, you might not have a high enough skill to pick the lock, so attacking might be the only thing you can do.
Burn. Led to death. Such a foolish way to go. Looks like there is a trap. I have to take a look around unless I want to share his fate.
Okay, so we get this new ability, Detect Trap. So right here, if you right-click it, you can choose to disarm it or avoid it. Again, it's depending on what your skill is. So I have a 150% chance to disarm and only a 40% chance to avoid. So we're going to disarm it. All of these chances and stuff are solely based on your stats right here: strength, agility, perception, vitality, and willpower. So agility goes towards your lockpicking and disarming. So as the game progresses, if you have a low agility skill, you're actually going to fail and you're going to break your lockpicks, and you're also going to take damage because you won't be able to stop these. Now, the other thing about traps is they're hidden unless you use your perception skill.
My leg hurts. I need to find something to treat the wound before it festers.
So if you look here, perception, this is what allows you to, you see vision. Vision is what allows you to see traps. So if you have a low perception skill, there's a good chance that you will step in a trap before you spot it and take the damage. And traps are miserable. They can cause you to bleed. They can give you a wound, like you can see here, a mild leg injury. And then also you have pain that you have to deal with as well. So if you can see on here, if we go to this little health, here's our pain tolerance. It tells you what happens when your pain goes up. And then you have morale, sanity, all this good stuff. But since this is a tutorial,
These boxes will surely find something in.
they're going to explain to you how you fix your injury and also how you help the pain. So we're going to take everything. So step one is going to be stabilizing the injury. So the best way to do this is to open up your character with, I think it's the C. Yeah, C. And then click on this little heart here. And then you can see here's my wound. I can just right-click it and say Apply Splint. Now, it has a little plus. That means that the injury is stabilized and no longer will cause you pain, so your pain will not go up and your leg will eventually heal over time. But if we want to heal it on our own, then we want to use a salve. So here we go. Healing salve, apply, and boom. So now that's good. Now it says relieve the pain. So if I go back into my inventory, you'll see this thing's blinking. This is an inhaler. Now, it will help with my pain and my sanity, but it will make me intoxicated. So you got to be very careful when you do some of these things, because if you have this, there's a negative effect to taking this, which I love about the game. So we're going to use it. And so now we're intoxicated. So our health, healing efficiency, restoration, immunity is all lowered. So they give me this little thing. So this little thing is going to heal my intoxication, but it's going to make me confused. So it's going to remove poisoning, but it's going to make me confused as well, and it also is going to reduce my health replenishment. So everything you choose has a positive and a negative choice. So just keep that in mind. Don't just go and say, I'm in pain, let's drink some alcohol, or let's use this inhaler, because it's going to have a negative effect, and if you don't have something to counter that negative effect, you could find yourself in a world of hurt. So we're going to hold down Alt. We're going to pick up this doblet. So this thing is always here. Some items in this game are always going to be here. That's always there, and so are these traveling shoes. Put those on, and then we're going to pick our weapon. So I highly suggest picking the two-hander for this. If you want to beat the last boss at the end, I would highly suggest picking the two-hander. And then I always pick up the shield as well, because you never know what you're going to get through the rest of the dungeon, because it's all random. But I don't pick this up because we're going to use pyromancy. And so this is not needed. But in the base game, I actually use the bow quite a lot. But for right now, we're just going to pick up the shield and we're going to use the two-hander because it does the most damage. And it gives us the best chance of getting through here. So we're going to have our first fight right here. This is always here. And wham, wham, dead. So we just leveled up, and you can see now I have a choice. I get 2 AP to put into any of my stats here. So because I'm a two-hander, strength is very important. And then you have to think about vitality or willpower. I always go vitality on this first playthrough. You can do whatever you want. But we're trying to build this character in order to beat the boss at the end because he's extremely hard. So like I said, nothing in here really means anything. These are just kind of showing you off the different items, but you only need certain items to get you past the boss, but you don't retain any of this. So we're going to come here.
A Pyromantic Treatise. Just like the good old times in the academy. Got to recall a spell or two.
So this is going to show you how to use spells. We're going to right click it and read. It's now going to unlock all them. And then we don't need to retain this book. If you want to sell it, you can in the base game, in the regular game, but in the prologue, you definitely don't need to retain it. So now you can see I got a skill point right here. And I'm going to go down here to Pyromancy, and I'm going to select Fire Barrage and hit Confirm. So now I have Fire Barrage on my bar. Fire Barrage is really good. It does fire damage, and it has a 50% chance to add Burning, which every turn they take additional damage. So if we click on here, I think we got everything. So now we're going to come to this door, and we're going to hit this guy. So we're going to Fire Barrage him, and you can see it hit the door instead of him. So you always have to be careful with your targeting. If you don't get it just right or there's something in your way, you're going to miss. But one of the tactics I like to use in this game is to backpedal and wait for my abilities to come off a cooldown, and then we hit him again. So we keep backpedaling and hit him again. Okay, and he's dead. Now, if you see fire here, do not run through it. The best thing to do is hit your spacebar, which basically ends your turn. It says does nothing, and then the fire will go away. And then that way you don't run through it. All right, we're going to come back through here. Now, these are just some lore books and stuff that you can read. I'm not going to do that. If you play the game and you pick it up, you can do it on your own. But for sake of time, we're just going to keep moving forward. So this archive right here is always going to be here. But after you leave this, we're going to read. I was going to put some Geomancer spells in our skill. After you leave this area, the map is completely randomly generated. So I have no idea where I'm going to end up when I enter the next area. So these are identification scrolls. So sometimes you'll pick up items with question marks. You use these to basically remove the question mark. And this here is an enchantment scroll. What this does, it takes any normal item you have, and it actually makes it a special item. So enchants an item, alters existing enchantment. So if you have a white item, it'll make it blue and give you different enchantments. If you have a blue, it should make it purple, and so on and so forth. So for instance, if I say use, and I click on my two-hander, it is now going to add plus 9% weapon damage and plus 7% life drain. So that is super, super good, and it was completely random, so I got really, really lucky on this one. All right, so here's another identification scroll. And lastly, there is a Disenchant Scroll. So all of these are not random. You get these every time you come in here. So it can show you how to do identification. And then this, it cleanses all enchantments and curses from an item. So if there's an item that you don't like the enchant on it, you can remove it and then add a new enchant. Or if it's cursed, you can remove the curse as well. So now we're going to move on to the next area.